everyone. I think it's July the 17th. I'm pretty sure. It seems like the days just kind of run together. Our son gets married not this weekend, but the following weekend. So it's all things wedding around the Eaton household. What a cool thing that Amazon, like you can go online and buy the present and have it shipped here because they're getting married in Virginia and yet they're going to live here. And how awesome. They don't have to like ship all that stuff back or bring it back with them. So I love technology, and thank you, Jeff Bezos, for Amazon. That's all I can say about that. So I'm super excited to have Dr. Staci with me today. Dr. Staci has tons and tons of experience, and she and her husband Nate have just opened a new practice. She's going to tell you the story better than I can. I will ask you this: if you have questions about being a husband and wife team, or questions about starting over, or questions about moving your practice and starting a new one, or questions about I'm pregnant and I'm going to still be in practice, or I have a new baby. What do I do? We want to answer your questions. We want to help dispel any fears. We just want to encourage you and have the opportunity to inspire all of you today. I also want to invite all of you to join me for the ICA Summit, the ICA Practice Success Academy webinar tomorrow. It's 2 p.m. Eastern. I'll drop the link below. Tomorrow's title is Stop Selling Yourself Short and Those Around You. So we're going to talk about getting our big girl panties on and getting down to business. And that's exactly what Dr. Staci and Dr. Nate have done in their practice. So Dr. Staci, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be super fun. So let's get started. When did you graduate from Chiro school? And let's talk about like the early days, and then we'll get to where we are now.
I just hit, actually, probably within the last week, my 10-year anniversary. So graduated from Northwestern Health Sciences University in 2008. Attended Northwestern because I was looking for the most science-based school out there. I'm the daughter of a science teacher, and so thought the philosophy of chiropractic was a bunch of hooey and I didn't need it. Thankfully, I was completely without it at Northwestern and realized that early on, and so came around to figure out how the science and the philosophy work together in a really beautiful way. So just celebrated 10 years. Most of those years were spent in North Dakota. So the day I graduated, got the license, signed loan paperwork, and bought my first practice. And it was a relatively busy practice, especially coming from clinic. I did my T10 internship there, so I'd had 3 months working in the clinic I was buying with the doctor that I was buying from, which went as well as one could expect. People always worry when they buy a practice, what are you going to lose? You know, how many patients are you going to lose? And we didn't. I think having those 3 months in the office to get to know everyone and for them to be comfortable with me, including my team, that team getting to be comfortable with me was really key. So over the first 4 years I was there, we actually quadrupled that practice, and I had, first 1, then 2, and when I left, 3 associates working for me. Was really happy there for a long time, but when I met my husband, we were both traveling and teaching and speaking to chiropractors, primarily on the transition away from an insurance-based practice. So we met that way, and after a couple of years, we just knew that we would want to be in practice together. So very slowly began the process of selling, ended up selling 70% to my long-term associate, and maintained that 30% ownership for another year and a half before finally selling the remaining shares in January. So it's kind of funny to have you mention, ask questions about husband and wife, ask questions about selling, ask questions about having a baby, have questions about starting over, because I did it all at once. And so sometimes I see women ask questions, well, when's the best time to have a baby in practice? And I'm like, there is no best time.
No.
Just figure it out whenever it is, because Mila was in the plan, but not the plan as early as she came. And so quite honestly, I'm thrilled to have done it all at once, because if you can do it all at once, one at a time, it's really easy when you're making any other big changes in your life or in your practice. So
absolutely, just bring on the fire hose and let's get a drink. Right?
Let's do it. all or nothing. Yep.
That's right. That's awesome. So let's go back for a minute to, you said, when I was in school, I realized I was not getting the philosophy.
Yeah.
What did you get exposed to it because you heard other chiropractors talking about it? Did you get exposed to it because you went to seminars, or what happened?
Well, I thought I knew it all in chiropractic school and went into the auditorium probably one Friday after school to listen to some crazy chiropractor speak, because I knew for a fact I knew better than him and he didn't know what he was talking about. And I really wanted to hear how he could talk about chiropractic from this crazy philosophical perspective, that really had nothing to do with the science of what we were really working with. And so for 2 hours, I listened to this man, and I walked out of that auditorium a different person than I walked in, Reggie Gold. Yes.
Talk about listening to the best of the best. Jeez.
Best of the best. I mean, I get goosebumps now thinking back to that. So he was the one who was able to put in perspective what the philosophy had to do with it. And it was in those 2 hours that I finally became exposed to what chiropractic really was. I had the perspective that it was just another physical therapy modality that you could use to make people's back pain go away, like the public thinks. My experience with chiropractic before school, I'd seen a chiropractor somewhat regularly for headaches. It worked great. I thought it would be a good career choice for me. I actually had taken the MCATs and was ready to go to medical school, and took a year off between undergrad and medical school, and ended up working at the front desk in a family practice office, because that's, as a woman, of course, I'd want to be pediatrics or family. And, so that's just what I did, because I thought that's what you were supposed to do. But I am an organizer. I like everything to run on systems and procedures and with efficiency, and everybody on the same page knowing what's going on. And so when they figured that out, when I was in that family practice, the head of the different departments ended up shipping me off to every department within the hospital to help rehab their front desk and how their front desk ran systems and procedures. Well, in that process, I realized that everyone came in sick, they left with medication, they came back and got more medication. And what I thought medicine was to help people become healthy and regain their happiness and their strength and their vitality for life. Wasn't. It was drugging them and giving them these pieces of paper that they left with that they thought were going to solve all their problems. And so that's when I actually switched from thinking I was going to medical school to realizing that was not what I wanted. And for whatever reason, it didn't occur to me until that point in time that chiropractic was even a profession that should be on the table for me. So at that point in time is when I made the switch. So I went into chiropractic school still with a very medical mindset, very, mechanistic mindset, and thankful to Reggie Gold, who completely did a 180 for me and helped me realize what I was really supposed to be doing with my life. So I had I spoke at Berkshire's a couple of years ago, and Irene was sitting in the front row, and that I didn't know she would be there. I mean, I'd prepared this talk, and one of the things I wanted to do was at least honor Reggie. That was the year that he'd passed, and I wanted to honor Reggie and say, you know what, I'm here today, and I know what I know, and I can help people because of him. So I was super honored that she was sitting in the front row that day, and even now when I see her, she comes up and gives me a big hug. So that was a pivotal turning point, not just in my life, but especially in my chiropractic career.
That is awesome. I love that story. And it speaks, it should really speak to all of our hearts that every opportunity we have to get into our community and speak to high schools or community colleges or individuals who are preparing for their career, to let them know, yeah, chiropractic is on the table. And this is the, like, if, how many people go into or want to go into medicine because they want to help people. But then, like you said, it's like, our daughter wanted to, and then after working in that environment, she was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, she worked in an awesome office, and then she worked in the hospital, and she was like, this is not what I grew up with. Like, this is not people taking control of their health and honoring the fact that their body heals from the inside out. Yeah. So what a great thing that you had that experience.
Oh, for sure.
And then to know that that is not for me, and this is. That's funny about Reggie. I remember sitting in San Diego, and I had just spoke at CORE, Matt Hubbard's group, and Reggie spoke after me, and then we were both sitting on like this bench outside the hotel, and we must have talked for I don't know, it was several hours. We were supposed to be somewhere else and we forgot and didn't pay attention to our time. And just like, so, he always, I think he cut to the chase for sure, but he never made anyone feel stupid. Like I think
Yeah.
that there are sadly a lot in our profession who are like philosophy Nazis and don't want to, allow people to learn in the process. Like they all started somewhere,
Yeah.
right? And they learned along the way. And I want to just embrace like wherever you started from, let's
Yeah.
pick up there and move forward and check out what chiropractic philosophy really means. Because if
Yeah.
it can help someone like you who was at Northwestern do a 180,
Yeah.
how many other people can really be helped just by understanding and bridging that together?
Well, and for chiropractors, I mean, I've done coaching for several years, and I'm not doing it right now because I am focusing on the new practice. But you have to meet chiropractors where they are when it comes to that philosophy, which is, I mean, wherever you are along that spectrum. But then taking that same thing into practice, because to tell a patient, oh my goodness, you're eating wrong and you've done all these things wrong, and here's what you should be doing, isn't meeting them where they're at. It's making them feel ashamed for the choices they've made up until that point. And so it's the same when you're working with other chiropractors and helping them along that process. But it's the exact same thing when you're working with patients.
Yes. You bring up a really great point in Russell Brunson's book, page 23. He talks about like how to, basically be an influencer. And one of the things is to, help people see that it's not their fault. And I think that, we would do a lot better with the public if instead we reminded them, like, I understand why you're making the choices that you are of taking drugs or doing surgery or pill, potion, lotion, cut me open, and thinking it's okay. It's because that's what our culture for decades has said to do. And now you're given a new opportunity to look at your body in a new way, and your body has the most amazing ability to be well. It's just no one's taught you. It's not your fault. I'm glad you're here today. And how much different would that relationship be if we met them and said, it's okay, let's walk forward together from here. And I know I used to be like the pissed off chiropractor when it came to parents vaccinating their children, right? Or not getting their kids adjusted right at birth. Well, they didn't know any better.
They didn't. Yeah. And that's the thing I say to moms in the practice all the time, because how many times have we all heard, I wish I would have known. Oh, I wish I would have known. Oh. And you know what? You couldn't know sooner because you weren't ready. You're ready when you find out, because that's when you're open to it and ready to make a change. So I tell moms all the time, don't look back, only look forward, and know that with whatever information you now have, you can make different choices. There's nothing you can do about the past, but going forward, now's your opportunity.
And it's a great day to be healthy.
Absolutely.
Right now. Yeah, that would be an awesome way forward of know what do we wish that we would have even known as business owners or as chiropractors or moms or wives or friends or whatever, right? Yeah. I mean, it really is true. Hindsight is 2020. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about being in practice with your spouse, and how do you guys find that harmony? Especially it went from, okay, we both have practices, then we both sold our practices. Now we're going to open a new practice, and you both are very strong individuals. Like neither one of you are a wallflower. So how do you do that?
We're still working through that, because a lot of that not so much trial and error as you don't know what you don't know. And so what we are really figuring out right now, and thankfully we're part of a lot of really amazing chiropractic organizations, and we're at a conference just this last weekend and realized he's the visionary, I'm the implementer. I love action steps. I can outwork anybody, and I'm happy to do it. Like, I'm thrilled to do that. So when he's sitting in the office and he's got all these grand ideas, and I'm sitting here getting things accomplished, like boxes checked, I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? And so we sat back and realized he's the visionary, I'm the implementer. And that works really well together as long as you know that first and figure out what your responsibilities and roles are. We also both coming from leading an office, pretty much individually, we found in the first few weeks, which is ironed out now, but our team didn't know who to go to for what. If it was almost like, the kid having mom's answer and dad's answer. And if they don't like mom's answer, they go to dad and ask him and get something different. So we realized early on, I'm like, well, I said they shouldn't do it this way, and you said they should do it this way. So we just kind of had to come to agreement, and we're still kind of figuring out who does what. But for these types of questions, I'm your go-to. For these types of questions, he's the go-to. And thankfully, right now, we've got a small office. We have 2 full-time employees, so it's just the 4 of us, and we communicate beautifully together. But we're figuring out that you have to very clearly define roles and responsibilities for everything to work as efficiently as it should. Otherwise, we were both trying to accomplish the same task, not realizing it, and wasting a bunch of time doing it. So just clarifying who's doing what the roles and responsibilities are. And I think even in the last couple of weeks, we figured that out a lot more because, while I love working with my husband and I wouldn't change it for the world, the last couple of weeks, we can feel a difference, a lightness, like, oh man, we worked well together today. I love being in the same office with you, but now we're working together. Like the gears are turning the way they're supposed to. So that's been fun.
We're both essential now that we know what we're supposed to do.
Exactly.
And, with that, I think it's so important to, I think of like, don't pick the baton back up. When you pass the baton of what you were doing, pass the baton.
Yes.
And keep moving on, or else the person who you're now taking their spot, they're irrelevant. Yeah. And maybe they were going to figure out a better way to do that. I think it's so important to eliminate, like step out of this, but leave it. Don't come back down to here. Somebody else is doing those. So let's talk about, you have your sweet baby in your office with you. Let's talk about, how did you make that decision? How did you find a nanny for the office? What are the pros and the cons of that? Let's start there.
Yes. Okay. So I'm a first-time mom. I have a 7 and 9-year-old stepsons who are amazing big brothers. But as a first-time mom, when I started thinking about going back to work, because I had almost a year off while I was pregnant and not flying, and before the new practice opened, and so everything happened perfectly time-wise for me to be able to do that. But when I started thinking about going back into the office, I talked with Nate and I said, listen, I don't want to just leave her with someone. I am from North Dakota and living in Indiana, so I don't have family close. When I was little, my grandparents watched me when my parents were working, and that's just what I'm used to. So I said, you know what? She's so easygoing. She's happy. She doesn't cry. She doesn't fuss. Do you think we could have her in the office? And it took him about 2 weeks, and he said, you know what? Let's give it a try. I think it could work. So we actually put a job ad out for an office nanny, made it up. 500 applications came in for that position. Thankfully, over the years, I have learned how to weed down a 500 applicant inbox very quickly, and ended up with just a phenomenal woman. She's got a teaching degree, writes children's books, and is a children's illustrator, and just doesn't love the classroom setting. She loves one-on-one small group work where she can feel like she has a bigger impact and without the school system stuff. And so we had her, she comes to the house in the morning, gets Mila ready when she does get up, and then brings her to the office. But with her—
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yep, it's great. And with her background, when Mila's sleeping or napping or nursing, she loves doing our Facebook ads. So she's got all of our beautiful Facebook images, our Instagram, our Twitter, all of those, and does any marketing graphics and stuff for us in the office and loves it. So she's constantly busy. It's not as though, she's got nothing to do when I'm taking care of my daughter. So it works out well. I quite honestly, I don't very often say this, but I have not figured out any cons yet. And we're almost 5 months in. One of the benefits that I hadn't anticipated or even thought about was the fact that because she's in the office most of the time, when patients are coming in with kids, especially with a new office, we've got a lot of new patients, we'll have people on the phone say, oh, yep, I'd like to come in, but I need to find a childcare for my kids. Well, first of all, no, because your kids need to be checked. But second of all, when you're being checked, we've got an office nanny who watches the other kids too. So Mila gets great socialization, and moms and dads get this great peace of mind when they come in that their kids are being observed and watched and in a healthy environment with other kids that are like them. So
I love that.
Was an extra bonus that had not even crossed my mind, but has been one of the biggest pros to having that arrangement.
So I hope you all heard that. if you want to have your children in your office with you, another huge perk of that is with the new practice member or whatever, like, no problem. Our office nanny will be happy to take care of your children. They'll be right with you. You know, they can get checked and then go with the nanny, hint, hint. And that definitely communicates to your new practice members, like, we're dialed in for families. Like, we got it. We definitely have it going on.
Yeah.
So very, very cool. So as we wrap up, let's talk about your wild success. I mean, heck, your second month in practice, you guys were pretty stinking close to 20 grand. So let's talk about what's going on in Indiana.
Oh, well, okay. So a couple of things about that. First of all, it is a big headspace thing to go from a very busy practice to where we are now. And so for me, I'm still trying to redefine what success looks like, because while that was close to 20 is a good month, that's a new thing for me to say, because in the past that would have been my worst month ever.
On record, right?
Yeah. And so I think that the biggest keys to getting a good start, number one, focus on base hits, not grand slams. Grand slams don't happen very often. So base hit, base hit. One of the things that I started doing was forming a lot of strategic business partners when I first moved here 2 years ago. So I created just a small group that started with my neighbors, a group called Refined Lifestyles. So our office name is Life Refined Chiropractic. So Refined Lifestyles is by invite only, by referral only. You have to get on the phone with me to join. But this group of entrepreneurial women who are going to be great referral sources and already great patients, that want that community, that want that connection and network built in. And so when we did our grand opening, we actually just did that in June, a month ago. We invited all of those strategic business partners to have a table at our event and to invite their list. And so we had the biggest torrential, like, monsoon downpour the day of our grand opening, which was supposed to be outside. So we moved everything in, but they had invited their list. So on this monsoon of a day, we still had at least 100 people show up that had never walked in our office before, that were drenched and laughing and having a great time. And that group of women has now really just been a great referral source for us. The other base hit that we do, I love public speaking. I love opening up people in the community, opening their eyes just to that next step, like letting them know that what they've always been taught and always done isn't the only way. And so we do a lot of community lunch and learns. I love doing them, and I can bring any topic they ask for right back to chiropractic pretty easily. And so for us, that's another big base hit that you just have to be really consistent with. Thankfully, our office manager is a rock star at calling and getting those set up. She is brilliant on the phone and organized and very eloquent in how she speaks. And so we've hired companies in the past to do that. None of them have come even close to what she's capable of doing.
That's awesome. What is her background?
She's a recruiter.
What is it, Stace?
She's a recruiter. So she used to recruit for executive level management.
Oh.
In the technological fields. But when she interviewed with us, I have a really interesting interview process that it takes them a long time before they ever sit down at a table in front of me. And more than anything, we were curious, why are you even interested in this job with your background? Because you're going to take a pay cut. I pay my employees well, but I don't pay them what she was making. And she said, you know what? I'm not passionate about it. I don't live for executive level recruiting. She loves health. She loves wellness. She has eaten up everything that we have taught her and applied it in her life, her fiance's life. She talks about it in communities. She talks about it at her CrossFit gym. So she's an excellent representation of what we want to do for our community. And so she couldn't be a better spokesperson, a better person on the phone when people are skeptical, answering questions. So she comes from a really interesting background, but she wanted a job that she was passionate about, and she's found it for sure. So
that's awesome. That's so exciting to start out with an awesome team, which is just so vital. I mean, the success is in the systems and in the team that we build for sure. So you've you've been around and been involved in lots of stuff, and Dr. Staci is a part of the boot camp. What are you enjoying, and what have you seen in the boot camp that you dig?
You know what? Referral gift packets for me were a big thing. I'll be honest, I've not gone through a lot of videos because I'm still trying to get my checklists in the office managed. Keep up with my accountability groups and my reading, and so sometimes I feel like I stick my toe into too many things, but
Yeah.
on the other side of that, I can still handle it all. So the referral gift packets have been great for us because it really, I've written tons of articles in the past and never used them. Like they just sat in my computer that I just never handed out. And so what I have found that's really been interesting for me is getting those in a form that look really great. Specifically ones on infertility. I, for whatever reason, attract a lot of patients who have foster kids or adopted children. And so a lot of them come in having researched health beforehand because they want to know what they want to do with these kids when they finally get them, which has been really interesting. So I do a lot on, like, if you're not breastfeeding, what are the best alternatives, helping women
Nice.
when they have GI issues, how does chiropractic help, but what else can you really be doing? And so I find that most of my patients are people who didn't know chiropractic before and weren't exposed to that natural health world.
Yeah.
And when they're first exposed, they jump right in. And so I've taken a lot of those and actually put them online so that people can find my articles online, get into our list, and they end up in our office that way. So those referral gift packets for me have been huge, and just getting my butt in gear and getting those in a form and actually getting them out to people
Yes.
so they can be of benefit.
Yes. They just make it so easy to meet people where they are and provide education and a beautiful package that people feel good about sharing. All right. So as we wrap up, what words of advice do you have to a chiropractor who's watching today, who maybe is just looking for, some inspiration and that push to step it up and do well in business while also having a harmonious life?
Yeah. Be very clear on what it is you want and why you want it. My husband and I have done a lot of self-development stuff over the years, and one of the things that's worked really well for us is Lifebook. It helps you write down what you want in breaks your life down into 12 different categories, but helps you be clear on all of them. And I think the biggest thing I have come to realize over the years is that if one area of your life is lacking, they all are. And so while nothing is ever in balance, don't neglect anything. If something is in your life is getting a lot of attention, make sure you're noticing if anything is missing attention. That's going to eventually throw you off course. And so for me, it's just making sure that at all times have your goals written out, but know what's most important to you and be able to say no to the things that aren't. So many times, as a chiropractor in practice, we say yes to everything because we're trying so hard to get one step ahead, get one step further, grow, get that new patient in. But sometimes we say yes to things that we shouldn't do that actually cause us to take 2 steps back. So be clear on what you want and be comfortable saying no to opportunities that are really just distractions.
That's awesome advice. Yeah, every invitation is not an opportunity. So make sure it aligns with where your ship is headed. Hey, Staci, thank you so much. And please tell Dr. Nate I said thanks for letting us borrow you for the last half an hour. Thanks to all of you who joined us. If you do have questions, either pop them below or shoot me a message or shoot Dr. Staci a message. We'd love to help you. And all of you have a wonderful evening. So thanks again. And we'll catch you tomorrow, 10 in Alaska, which is no one else's time, but 2 p.m. Eastern. The link will be below in the comment section, and you can tune in for Stop. Basically, an awesome kick in the tail. If you're looking for a kick in the tail, I got it for you tomorrow. So thanks again. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.